If you're working on developing your nonprofit fundraising strategy, there are a couple of key terms that you're going to need to know, especially if you are newer to the nonprofit fundraising world. In this video, I'm going to share 10 fundraising terms that you may or may not know, but you definitely need to know in order to be successful fundraisers as you start a nonprofit or grow a nonprofit or just raise money for any other kind of social impact project. Welcome back. My name is Amber Melanie Smith. I'm a nonprofit founder and executive director. I make these videos here on YouTube to help people aspiring to make a difference in their communities, whether it's through starting a nonprofit or social enterprise or socially conscious business or any other kind of project or endeavor. I hope that you find this video helpful. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I also have a website, foundertofulltime.com, with some trainings and resources all about starting a nonprofit or developing a sustainable fundraising plan. Okay, are you ready to test your knowledge? Let's make a little bit of a game out of this. I'd love to hear at the end of the video how many of these 10 terms you already knew and which ones you had just learned for the first time. Don't forget to share that in the comments below. Let's just see what y'all know. And of course, the grand prize for getting them all right is a monumental sense of pride and achievement. Let's get into it. Term number 1 is in-kind gift. I'll give you a second to think about if you know this one. In-kind gift. That is a donation that is not cash, but is instead materials, equipment, or property. Examples might be food or clothing, or in the case of property, maybe some kind of commercial real estate. Donors can still claim a deduction on their income taxes for the market value of the item that they donated. The second fundraising term is bequest. Bequest. This is when a donation is made through a person's will. It can be cash, securities, or other tangible property. Number 3 is a really important one, and it is case for support. Do you know this one? A case for support is a document or some other piece of communication that basically explains to potential donors why they should give money to your organization. It might include your organization's goals, its history of impacts, and some of the things that you might spend donations on. Term number 4, you ready for this? It is capital campaign. Capital campaign. This is a focused, intense fundraising initiative to raise usually a large amount of money in a specified amount of time. A lot of times, capital campaigns are to raise money for some specific, very big expense, like purchasing a building or investing in a new type of expensive equipment, but it doesn't have to be. Term number 5 is challenge gift. Now, a challenge gift is when a donor pledges or agrees to make a donation, usually a pretty large one, but only if your organization is able to secure donations from other sources first by usually a specific deadline or in an amount that matches part or all of the donation you're asking for. This is actually a really good strategy to incentivize other donors to give, because the research backs up that people are more incentivized to make a donation if they know that another donation will result, amplifying the ultimate goal of giving if you do donate. Number 6, also a super important one, and it is donor stewardship. Donor stewardship. So stewardship is how you manage a relationship with a donor after they make their first gift to you. Now, you really want to retain the trust and relationship with your donors long term. It is more cost effective to retain donors than try to acquire new donors. Of course, just like in sales with businesses, it's the same kind of principle. So stewardship is the act and the process of retaining that trust, being ethical caretakers of the donations given to your organization. And it also involves keeping your donors engaged, which looks like making sure they feel appreciated, sending them thank you notes, making sure you're inviting them to things going on with your organization, etc. In between those times you might ask them for money. Number 7 is restricted gift. Now, a restricted gift is when a donation must be spent on the very, very specific thing that the donor who gave you that gift says that it has to be spent on. Let's say a donor gives your organization $1,000, but they say you can only spend this $1,000 on purchasing meals or office supplies or on things related to this one program or on hiring a new staff member. Whatever the donor says it has to be spent on is what you have to spend it on. Now, you can always decline that gift and not accept the money and thus not be constrained by having to spend it in that way. But if you do accept the money, you legally do have to spend it that way. And if you don't, you can be reported to the authorities, or the donor can demand that you refund the gift. Term number 8 is prospect. And I hope that you can guess what this means, but just in case, let's get into it. In the case of fundraising, a prospect is a potential donor that you have a logical reason to believe that they are likely to make a donation to your organization. In the business world, you might think of this as a lead. This can be an individual, it can be a government entity who's giving out grants or contracts, it could be a grant funder, it could be a company who's doing sponsorships. It's a prospect, and you have a reason to believe that they are going to give. Maybe your missions and values are aligned, maybe you have some personal connections there. Whatever the case, you have an above zero belief that you are likely to get some kind of contribution from this entity. Term number 9 is actually an acronym, but the word is LYBUNTS, and it stands for, do you know? Okay, I'll give you a hint. The letters are LYBUNTS, LYBUNTS. Okay, so this is an acronym for donors who gave last year, but not this year. Or technically last year, but unfortunately not this year. Yet. Now, in my opinion, LYBUNTS are great donor prospects because if they already gave once to your organization, that means they know your organization. They probably care about your organization on some level, so they might be good prospects, likely to give again under the right circumstances or if you simply ask. And the 10th and final term in our nonprofit fundraising trivia today is letter of inquiry. Now, a letter of inquiry is when you send a letter to a foundation or a company sharing your mission, sharing some of the projects or programs that you're seeking funding for, and inquiring if they would be willing to hear more from you, if they'd be willing to receive a full formal request for financial support or get more information or talk to you about your work and the prospect of funding you. These are usually shorter letters that come before a full grant proposal or donation request, and they can actually save you and the funding entity a lot of time, because if you send this letter and it's very easy to see right off the bat that you're not going to be a good fit for each other, then you can avoid spending all those hours on a full formal proposal. All right, the moment of truth. How many of those 10 did you know? Leave the number that you knew, 6, 9, all 10 of them, 1, 3, whatever the number is, leave it in the comments below. If you are starting a nonprofit or working on developing your sustainable fundraising plan, definitely check out my website, foundertofulltime.com, for those resources. I also have a newsletter that I do with news and articles and sometimes funding opportunities for changemakers and nonprofit leaders. You can subscribe to that using the link that I have in the description of this video as well. And finally, I have a Facebook group, Change the World or Bust. We've got a couple thousand folks in there having some good conversations about our efforts to make an impact. So I hope that you can join us there. I hope this was at least a little fun for you, a little bit of a brain challenge. So join me next time for another video, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I hope to see you Later, goodbye.